Having done some statistical theory, in which we gave many definitions that seemed kind of complicated, we'll now move on to some statistical examples. In these, we'll state some data sets and then compute all of the statistics we studied in the previous submodule. So let's get started. Our first data set is 8 elements. So we're looking at it now. We're going to compute the mean, median, and mode, variance, and standard deviation, 25th and 75th percentiles for the following data. So as a remark, this is sort of ideal in that it's already sorted. In reality, and also for the CLEP exam, you should not expect it to be sorted. Okay, so we will start with the mean. So of course this is, I'm going to divide by the number of elements, and I add everything up. And one can show, after throwing this into their calculator, that this is 11.875. For the median, I take the middle number, but in this case there's 2. So I take the average of the middle 2 numbers to get 10. And the mode is the most common number. Only one number appears more than once, and it's also 10. So those were not too bad. The killer, of course, is the variance. So for this, I'm also going to divide by the number of elements I have, but I have to take the first element and subtract the mean. Square that. Then I take the next element, and I subtract the mean. And I keep doing this. And then second to last element, and then the last element. And ultimately, after throwing this into your calculator, you'll get 66.1094. Okay? Now, to get the standard deviation, this is not too much more work. I just take the square root of the variance, which in this case is 8.1308. So keep in mind, I had done a lot of this work beforehand. I did not compute these variance values in real time. You should certainly practice entering them into your calculator before the CLEP exam. Lastly, for the 25th percentile, we take the median of the first half of the data, which is 6. And for the 75th percentile, we take the median of the second half of the data, which is 15. Okay, so let's look at another example. Here, I have n equals 12 elements, I believe. Yes? And it's unsorted. So our first step should be to sort the data. This is necessary to compute the median and the quartiles. It's not necessary to compute the mean and the variance. The data can be unsorted in that case. But let's sort it. So this is -7, -2, -1, 0, 0, 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. Okay, and now we're in good shape to compute everything. The mean is 1 divided by 12 times the sum of everything. So I continue up to the end. These 3 dots in the middle are ellipses, and it's just to indicate that I'm going to continue the process. So this is equal to 2.0833. The median is the middle number, which in this case is in between these two. So it's the average of 0 and 3, so 1.5. The mode is the most common number, which is 0. And then we do the killer, the variance, multiply by 1/12. I do -7 minus 2.0833 squared plus the next number, which is minus 2, minus 2.0833 squared, and so on until I get to the last number, 9. And this winds up being equal to 19.4097. And now the standard deviation is simply the square root of the variance, which in this case is 4.4056. To get the 25th percentile, we take the median of the first half, which is minus 0.5, and the 75th percentile is 5.5. All right, so the only real difficulty compared to the first example was that we had 12 data points instead of 8, so it gets a little bit more complicated, and the data was unsorted. So we needed to sort it in order to compute the median and the quartiles. Let's look at a last example. In this example, we'll have 14 data points. We will compute all of the statistics as before, but we'll also plot a stem and box and whiskers plot. So this will help us visually see the patterns by plotting the mean and max, or the min and max, 25th and 75th percentiles, and the median visually. So let's take a look at this data. It is also unsorted, so I note that there are 14 data points. So I'll start by sorting, and I get minus 5, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 5, 6, 7, 9. Okay, so how about the mean? I divide by the number of things, and then I add everything up. Minus 5 plus minus 3 plus minus 2 plus minus 1, and so on up the list. Okay, and this winds up being equal to 1.5714. The median, of course, is the middle of the sorted list. And in this case, we have that it is the average of 1 and 1. So 1. And then the mode is interesting in this case because there are multiple values that occur with the same frequency. Notice that 0, 1, and 2 all occur with frequency 2. Every other element occurs with frequency 1. So in this case, we have multiple modes. 1, 0, and 2 are all considered a mode. So I record that. The modes are 0, 1, and 2. Great, so those are my measures of center. For the variance, I have to divide by the number of elements, and then I take the first element, minus 5, and I subtract the mean, square. Second element, subtract the mean, square, and so on up the list. To get that the variance is 14.6735, which means that the standard deviation is the square root of the variance, which is 3.8306. The 25th percentile is the median of the first half of the data, which is minus 1. And the 75th percentile is the median of the second half, which is 5. So let's draw this box and whiskers plot. I start with the minimum value, which is minus 5, and I draw a whisker up into the 75th percentile, or the 25th percentile, minus 1. Then I draw my box. The median is up to 1. 75th percentile is at 5. And then our max is at 9. Okay, so just recall this is the min, 25th percentile, median, 75th percentile, and then the max. All of this information can be useful for understanding the data. We have what are called summary statistics of measures of center and spread, and then also a nice visualization that tells us the spread given by the range and the interquartile range and the measure of center, the median, simultaneously.